Welcome back to the Silent Podcast, where we are, well, anything but silent. And we are here talking, getting your brick on. And I am one of the co-hosts of this, Mark. And as always, I can't do this without the brains behind the operation, the one, the only Josh Kettles. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Mark, I'm doing great. I don't know if I'm the brains of the operation because I definitely could not construct even a tenth of what these guys built this week. This was a wild week, and I am no engineer. So if you have any thoughts about the engineering of these roller coasters, can't wait to hear about it because I just was blown away.
I mean, like, I used to play Roller Coaster Tycoon all the time as a kid, like all the time,
Oh yeah.
and I had no idea how they were doing anything in this episode. And like, I'm like, sure, yellow pieces are harder, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. All the pieces are hard, but like the thing is, I've never built a Lego roller coaster before, like, and I've wanted to buy both those sets so badly, especially the newer one with the loop. But like, that shit looks hard.
Yeah. No, this has got to be one of the most technically difficult challenges they've thrown at them. It's a very specific skill set that they are looking for here. And then not only that, I mean, it's intimidating, to build that in front of someone whose like main role at Lego HQ is not just like designing new sets, but like building new pieces that go in these sets. So I mean, yeah, we'll talk about it, but I felt bad for most of them this week because the
Yeah.
anxiety must have been through the roof.
Well, we are live. If you're watching it online, live with us on YouTube, if you want to say anything in the chat, say something. We'll say hi back. If you have any questions, we know what to do. Type it in. We'll respond. But yeah, it feels so weird if we haven't podcasted in ages, but that's also because Lego Masters was off last week. And I'm excited to get my brick on with you.
Yeah, get your brick on. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
All right, let's dive in. So I love like how like it's mostly there's no sketch walking in. It's just them walking in, and like whoever does the art design on the sets of the show, like the actual like the proscenium sets, I want to call them, like because it feels like there's a set built for every week. Is so good and so talented. I love like how it says like blazing brick coasters, and like it just everyone walks in, they're just so happy. Like it's just I don't know. I always want to shout out like the art department of the show.
Yeah, no, every time they walk out, we've mentioned a lot of these before. They're just incredible, and this one's very fun. Love the outfits. Amy
Oh
often
my
goes
god.
like high fashion, but this one was her outfit was very fun as like a tourist.
Jamie with the mustache.
Yeah, it was so good. And then as soon as Will walked out, I clocked it. I was like two words came out of my mouth, and they were Miami Vice, and
I'm
that
gonna
came
say
up later
John
in the
Johnson.
episode. Yeah, no. Okay, I didn't remember his name, but like
Yeah.
I knew what the vibe they were going for, and it was very fun, of course, and set the tone for the episode as they always do
Yeah.
with these things.
And so Emily and Kelly come out and they're really excited to represent moms in semifinals. I think it's the farthest any mother team has made it in the show. Normally the farthest it gets like that, like final 7 or so. So
Mm,
like Emily and Kelly, we learned a lot about them this week, which we'll talk about that later. But
yeah.
it just I like that they're like really proud of themselves, and that's something that makes me very happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, 3 out of the final 8 here are moms, which is pretty cool. If you include Nina as well,
I mean, we
so
should since her son's in the show.
no, but I mean, you're right. Like that's these the archetypes of people they've cast have not made it this far, especially the mom duo, as we talked about last episode when we recorded. So good on them. Yeah, we'll talk about Amy's background and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's get into it.
So we find out that the challenge is to build a Lego roller coaster. And these sets are like the ones you can buy in the store are actually really tough builds, from what I've heard, because of the motor and all that stuff. And Jamie has designed both of the Lego roller coaster sets, which
Yeah.
is such a cool fact.
So crazy. Yeah, that's just again got to be so intimidating. Like he's like spent his like life's work designing these types of things, and then you're supposed to just come up with something that like is supposed to impress him.
In 12 hours.
Yeah, so crazy.
So one of the most important things in this episode is that Amy mentions that she wants the themes to shine through on the build. I think that's really important because we talk about that a lot in a bit. And basically the way I find it really funny that like when Jimmy does his little intro thing, that he basically sounds like he's just talking basic roller coaster tycoon, like how speed needs momentum and loops are tricky, and I'm like, wow, Jimmy's literally talking like to these people like if they're playing roller coaster tycoon.
That's funny. Yeah, no, the instructions were I mean, I was lost already when he was talking about just what they needed to go for. He talks about like they need to put like he starts making suggestions, but they didn't sound like suggestions. He's like, I want drops, I want lifts, and I was like, okay. I mean, literally no clue how to build any of this.
So we get a flashback, we'll get a confessional from Nina and Sam, and they're talking about how they want to do better than the last time they built a roller coaster. It shows the volcano with the roller coaster flying off the track and them having their worst week of the whole show, I personally feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And chance for redemption here. And as we'll get to later in the episode, they definitely do not take this opportunity to be like, okay, we're gonna play it safe. We did well last time. That is not Nina and Sam. They always swing for the fences
Yeah.
and get vicious. So good on them for not being scared by their, last roller coaster build earlier in the season.
And like also like everything in this episode does feel a little bit more serious. And like I love how like when they like start the actual timer, like Christopher is like, get a bucket and just fill it with red track.
Yeah.
And like everyone's just running to the brick pit. And then like Emily and Kelly are like they're like, should we get brick?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were a little frozen from the beginning. I mean, I think that the roller coasters were clearly intimidating to them, but everybody did well this episode. This is again, we'll talk about it at the end, but like I was impressed by everybody, and Christopher always giving a lot. So yeah, I'm glad you highlighted that because Christopher bossing Robert around from the very second this challenge started was hilarious. And yeah, just my boy Christopher, he's solidified now in tier 1 of characters that we've ever had on the show. Solidified.
I definitely highly agree with that. Honestly, like there's like I'd say like probably like 4 people I can be like yes, and he's one of those yeses.
Yeah, he's coming back for holiday special, win or lose the next episode.
Is he?
No, I'm just saying like he will be. Like he's such a big character, they will bring him back.
Do you think he'll be back this year though?
I don't know how they choose, but I would guess if they could get him, just because like I think they usually like to have the people that are fresh in their minds of everybody.
Because they have the like TikTok bros, one of them last year.
Yeah, no, so that's I mean, if they're gonna pick one person from the season, like I'm sure he's their first call.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't announced the cast yet. Of course, we'll be probably podcasting that at the end of the year. Maybe one episode, maybe multiple. We don't know yet. We haven't really discussed yet, but I mean, I know it's happening.
It is happening. I know that. Yeah.
So we get a little bit of like what the bricks are, like how these pieces are. So the red pieces are like good, solid, like normal curves and such. And it seems like the yellow pieces are a little bit more extreme.
Yeah.
That's got the loops and such. Because yellow is for the newer version with the double loop.
Yeah, you're catching some G's as you're going around those yellow pieces for sure.
I've never really mentioned. I really love roller coasters a lot while being terrified of them.
Yeah, are you big roller? If you go to a theme park, or you're like, I gotta go on the biggest roller coaster.
No, I'm scared. I'm totally scared. I like this is very real. Like I'm like scared of roller coasters, yet I love roller coasters.
Okay.
Like I remember, I watch all the ride through videos on YouTube.
Nice.
Like I'm scared of heights. I don't like flipping. Like I went on Hagrid's when I was in Orlando in January. One of the best experiences of my entire life. And it's like technically a family coaster, but it's got some cool elements. I don't know, like I loved it, but I'm scared of coasters. Like I don't, like I literally was cursing the whole time I was on Hagrid's while there were like children around. I'm not gonna curse right now, but I literally was just swearing like a sailor the whole time.
That's really funny. Yeah, I'm one of those people that goes. I reluctantly go to a theme park. I reluctantly get in line with my friends to go on the rides, and reluctantly ride them and get probably half of as much enjoyment as a normal person from roller coasters. They're just
And
not
you
my
live in a
thing.
big coaster world too, because like Southern California is like amazing coasters.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I used to go to Six Flags and stuff, as a teenager,
Yeah.
and it was fun, but I definitely was not the person that's like, we have to go on Goliath because it has
Yeah.
the largest drop in the west of the Mississippi and all that. I don't know. But I do it. I'm just not a party pooper.
Not party pooper kettle. So that's a good nickname for you.
My tagline, yeah. My motto in life is just don't be a party pooper.
It's half the battle sometimes. So Paul goes up to Emily and Kelly, and he's like, "Hey, what are your thing going to be?" And then like they tell him it's going to be ladybugs, and he's like, "Okay, cool." And like he's like, "I'm not going to take it," and they're like, "What?" And it feels like the body language feels like he was possibly going to do like outdoor thing like that, right?
What do you mean?
So like the interaction felt like possibly he was going to do something similar, like an outdoorsy, like small world type, like microscopic thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was that interesting. That interaction was definitely interesting, and it felt like he changed his plan somehow based on talking with them. But yeah, I don't know. That was a little bit bizarre. I'm not sure why they left it in because their themes ended up being so much different.
Yeah, I mean, so they do Ladybugs and Paul and Alita. They do game night, and we're going to definitely talk about all of that in just a moment.
Definitely going to talk a lot about the Ladybugs versus game night by the end of this episode.
Yeah. So Christopher and Robert decided to do a different kind of lift hill than that's ever been done in Lego. It's a very hard lift hill. It's a spiral lift hill, which basically means there's going to be a contraption in the middle to push you up the hill, and that will bring you to the top. I've only seen that like in like less than 10 coasters in my life, but it is a lift hill. It's not like an elevator lift hill. It's not a chain lift hill. And Jamie immediately is like, "This is not possible in Lego," but he says it in like the nicest way possible. He's like, "I would do something different," and they're like, "We have to do this now."
Yeah, Christopher is like, that only fuels me more to prove him wrong. And like he starts getting his like dramatic voice turned up, and yeah, this was one of the most like jaw-dropping moments, honestly, for me. The fact that they got that clear advice, they defied it, and still pulled this thing off. Like their attitude, their spirit, the confidence in themselves to build what they could build this season. I'm so here for Christopher and Robert. I have to give them credit. Like I just can't think of another moment in this series where someone did something like this.
It's kind of crazy, like when you think about that, that I feel like every time that we get Jamie giving advice and people don't take it, they screw up and get eliminated.
Yeah.
Like that, like if Jamie and Amy are like, "Hey, this is a bad idea," more than likely, I'd say like 9 out of 10 times you're done if you keep doing it.
Yeah, and the other 1 out of 10 times that we've seen is them still screwing up, but somehow still not going home. Like it's like 10 out of 10 times if they give you advice and you don't follow it, you end up with a worse build for sure. Yeah. And like this is literally the only time that I could think of that they've given advice to somebody, they double down in their same direction and prove the judges wrong. And it's not just proving the judges wrong, right? We're talking about Jamie. It's not like on Great British Baking Show where they, Paul Hollywood says, "Oh, that's not how you should make a scone." They're talking to Jamie, aka like the person who invented scones, like the person who's
his last name is Scone.
Yeah, and like so like they're what they did this episode is just it's just incredible. I can't say it enough, and I applaud them for just sticking to their guns here.
Also, I want to apologize. My radio is going crazy right now. I don't know if you guys hear it or not, but I hear it with my headphones on and everything. Like, oh boy, I live in New York and it's hot out. It's hot inside and cold outside, but that doesn't matter. It's a podcast in winter.
I saw that radiator behind you, and I was just like, "Oh, is that made out of Lego?" I can't tell.
Wait, that's
no, I don't know.
And that's Godzilla. What I love about this episode is you get a different side of Jamie. He's actually anxious in this episode. Like he's actually like very anxious about what's going to happen in these builds because like he knows how hard these builds can be.
Yeah. And a lot
And
of
that
things when you're playing with roller coasters and stuff, you're playing with physics. Like and a lot of physics is theoretical. And so
Mhm.
a lot of these guys probably are like, okay, in theory this should work, but then practically they start testing it out and it just gets really, really tough. Like when you're talking about the friction going around the bends and then like having enough momentum to carry you through to the start again. And so yeah, I genuinely felt bad for Jamie and then also for these guys here trying to impress him.
yeah. But it's exciting. Like I mean that's the thing about Lego Masters. You watch it, you're like, oh my god, what's going to happen? Um
Yeah.
Oh, 1 second. I just realized my camera is acting weird. Um, do you you don't see my face, do you?
I see you as frozen,
Frozen
as
Mark.
if
Cool.
you are a brick version of yourself, a
Well,
minifig.
that's exciting. Okay. Well, you know what? That's how it goes. As long as you can hear me, that's the most important thing. I have no idea what just happened. I just tried to fix the. All right, whatever. It doesn't matter. You know what? People listen to this, and well, I'll get Josh. Uh,
Yeah, sorry you're stuck with me, everybody on YouTube here. But yeah, Mark, it is okay. Let's just power through. As if we are Christopher and Robert, we have our vision of where we're headed, and nothing's gonna slow us down.
yeah. All right. So the next important thing in the episode. So Emily and Kelly are kind of concerned they have no loop, and everybody else has like a loop inside their coaster. And I feel like this is a big plot point to the episode. But it's also I I'm going to commend what they do. I think that they build a very cool, family friendly coaster.
Yeah. No,
And
definitely.
yeah,
It was not a bad build. And it's not a best roller coaster of the four of them, but the build itself, like with the theming, with the what they made up and the technical skills, I just think that they just ran up to three other teams that could
yeah.
build a good roller coaster, which we'll talk about the conclusion at the end, but just like what they went for, I totally understand. They just played it a little safe here with the actual technical side of things.
What's kind of fascinating about their build, though, my personal opinion, is that it looked a lot like the first version of the Lego roller coaster. How it's got a
Mm,
lift hill and then it's got a little couple of swoops down and all that stuff. Um,
interesting.
and that's the energy it gave me. So yeah.
Got
Uh,
it. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the original Lego set, so yeah, thanks for sharing that. I again, it was cool. I
yeah.
thought that like it could have won, like not maybe won the whole like week, but it definitely could have got them past a week if they had built roller coasters in like week 4 or 5 or
Yeah.
something. Like it wouldn't even be an issue.
So then we get to the end, Sam. And I have no idea how they were using this red piece, but they sort of created a loop that goes sideways. And they decide quickly, no, this is a bad idea.
I mean, they didn't decide that quickly. They decided like 5 hours in that this wasn't going to work after talking with Jamie and Amy. And I loved how Nina was like, when they were showing them, Nina's like, "Oh, let's just try it right now," because she was clearly getting frustrated that Sam kept trying to push for this. And
Yeah,
she was like, "Well, like let's just show Jamie and Amy where we're at." And like it didn't work, and I just could see the mom and her was just
yeah.
like, "I told you," but she was being way nicer about it.
One of the things I love about Lego Masters, like honestly, is like the camaraderie between teams. Because like I feel like a lot of like this episode's a lot of like Chris asking Nina and Sam, like, hey, how's this go? And they're like, don't do it, or we're having issues. And then like, of course, with like Paul and Alita earlier, it's just I love
Yeah.
it's one of the things I love about the show. It's cutthroat, but it's not cutthroat.
Well, there's not a lot of opportunity, or the show's not designed for you to necessarily like try to do anything against another team, right? Maybe when you're driving those, RC cars, there's a little bit of bumping and stuff, but
Yeah.
overall, the competition is really about you versus you. It's about what can you build, and of course, you're playing against the field, but you're not. It's not one of these shows that's designed for people to socially manipulate each other, cut each other out of the
Mhm.
show, whatever. And so therefore, yeah, it just breeds a spirit of people rooting for each other and not wanting to see them fail on national TV. So I love the moments where people, were cheering for each other's builds when they finally completed the full loop and they could
Mhm.
actually celebrate that the roller coaster was a working coaster.
I love it. It's just the energy of the show is always so positive. That's one of my favorite things about it. Like I love the reveal, the casual reveal that Emily is insanely more than proficient. Like, it's so fascinating to me that she has a set that's at the Lego headquarters. Like,
Crazy.
I feel like the idea we've gotten so far is like she's a mom that's good at Lego. Like, that's it. But
Yeah.
like, and it shows some sets that are incredible.
Yeah. The butterfly art piece that hangs at Lego HQ is really cool. Like that's like a legit art piece. Like I don't know. I mean, not that I'm much of an art appraiser, but like I just feel like that is that's more than just kind of like a casual amateur build.
And like, I really wish that the show focused more on their characters earlier instead of them being like kind of like the quirky moms that have like vans basically. Like that's the energy that we've been getting from them, and it's like that was like an amazing reveal, and I'm really sad that I came this far into the season because like I was like, yeah, they're fine, and then like that happens, like, oh my god, this is beautiful, and like it reminds me of, like in the bag, like the fashion bag, like how cool it looked, like the
Yeah.
design of it, you know.
Yeah. And Kelly really came alive too with modeling it and stuff. And yeah, this episode, I'm glad we did get that little like memento before we, lost them this episode. But yeah, I was just shocked, completely shocked.
Yeah,
Which is fun to be by this show.
of course. And then we get more of like Jamie and Amy like being like, "Hey, Christopher, Robert, are you sure you want to do this?" Like, yeah.
Yeah, they doubled down. Good on them. We already covered it. But yeah, just the cojones on these guys is just something to admire.
But if you're doing it, you're doing it. Like that's the thing. Like they're doing it, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, this might be my favorite like the calls ever in the show. The whole like of Will Arnett being right next to like the minifig wall, and he's like, "We've had 148 days without any minifig entries." Then he knocks over like 10 minifigs. Like, oh, it's all your fault. And then he like wipes down to zero, and just that guy is too funny for his own good sometimes. And like this show, he's so good. I love it. It just makes me very, very happy.
Will Arnett supremacy. Give him the keys to anything, and he'll make it better. Make him president. Will Arnett 2028. I don't know.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
So Chris and Robert, they finally get the mechanism working, and after like trying so hard, but it takes 7 hours of the 12-hour build to get the mechanism working. And they've only been working on the lift hill for 7 hours. Everyone else is already at least close to finishing with their circuit, you know?
Yeah.
And like my brain's like, how do you even like you must have an idea what your layout's gonna be after that, but you're just like, oh man.
Yeah, yeah. I don't understand the roller coasters, and it's so much trial and error that like I bet people's like experience so far on the show was a little bit miscalibrated with how tricky the roller coaster technical piece was going to be. And
Yeah.
so like it was just crazy how many people were still like by the end still just not sure that the roller coaster was going to work.
Yeah. At this point in the show, Paul and Alita, they feel pretty good about their circuit, so they decide let's build another second lift hill, and a second loop. So, and I love how they get like a dueling coaster happening.
One of the best decisions anybody's made, midway through their build so far, because I think that, it ended up being a close, decision. And this literally might have been the one thing that saved them from going home this week, was deciding to make it a little bit more of a, adding the second loop, making it a little bit more difficult. Because the rest of their build wasn't as good as everybody else's.
Yeah. So I have a weird question. So that 1 hour call, they all decide to make funny faces as if like the camera's going off for the roller coaster.
Okay.
Josh, what would be your ideal version of like your roller coaster face?
Ideal version. I usually, when I take the roller coaster photos, I try to pretend as if like I'm like, reading a book calmly or something
Really?
like that. Like, yeah, like because it's like, everyone's screaming around you, and if you could just kind of like look like you're just like, serene and unfazed, then you stand out a little bit. So that's usually my go-to roller coaster face. What about you?
There's not been many because, like as I said, I'm not the best roller coasters. But in Hagrid's, since I'm a bigger dude, I had to ride the actual like bike itself and not the sidecar. And like I'm pointing forward, I'm like,
I can see
yeah.
that.
And like I look insane. I'm on there with my best friend who's gonna be my best man at the wedding, and he's just smiling, and it's just like it's the dumbest photo ever of us.
I love it. It's the battle charge of Mark and his friend on Hagrid's.
But I also love like the photo with Jamie, Amy, and Will is just so funny because like Jamie and Amy are like more into it than Will. It looks like.
Yeah. Jamie's face was so funny. He looked like I don't know, a cross between like a Muppet and I don't know, some tourists who wandered on set.
Um, I just love it. It's so funny to me. Like Jamie's episode is just so chaotic between him clearly being very anxious for everyone while also being probably the goofiest he's been consistently for an episode.
Yeah, I no Jamie. That's definitely one of the things that stood out to me. It's just he's just so all in this season. It's just so much. It's so much fun how much he's been in on all the gimmicks and wanting to get silly and stuff. Because I mean, I know him and Amy are both very serious Lego builders and designers, especially as we learn about him this episode. But like I love that he's like fully just committed to just being like in on the bits every episode here, and this was just this is not only no exception, like it was one of the funniest Jamie episodes for sure.
And then like with that 1 hour build note, we get told that Christopher and Robert have finished the loop, but they haven't done any like the decorating at this point, and they need to build a dragon
Yeah,
because their coaster's called Dragon Dance.
yeah,
And I don't know how they built a successful dragon and like a arch also.
yeah,
In
like a
that time
pagoda.
frame,
Yeah,
I don't like it was so funny like watching them like because they cut back to him a little bit later, they're like, oh no, the body does not look good. And then like by the time that like the build happens, like is shown, it's pretty successful.
yeah, it's a legit dragon, and I think that they definitely helped themselves out by building that huge cloud. Like, every time they cut to Christopher and he's working on that, like, the lift, and he's like struggling over it, you just see Robert in the back just laying brick, making that cloud. It's getting bigger and bigger, slowly and slowly, and so they had like the scaffolding in place for all their theme, but it was just barren, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they were able to just add all the flair, the characters, the story on top of what they had set up, like, and it was integrated in their build. Like, that cloud and stuff hides the fact that it's like, like there's a big pillar underneath that's holding everything up. And then you put the dragon on top. So just like it all worked out so well in the end. But yeah, it was crazy how well they just like put all the color, all the character right at the end.
And also like throughout, before we get to the actual like adjudication of everyone, even though we've been seeing that Emily and Kelly's build is not going to be like is going to be a kiddie coaster, we also see that they are doing some incredible theming. I don't want to go too much into that because we'll be talking about it in a few minutes, but like it's really cool seeing all the motorized parts that they're using and such.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, no notes. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
So time is up. Everyone's done. And first up is Christopher Robert with Dragon Dance. And like I said, it came out shockingly well considering everything. And like the theming is cool, the dragon's cool, and it works, which is like so impressive. And like it looks like that they have probably a 5-foot tall Lego roller coaster.
Yeah.
It had some substantial height to it. And I also love like the use of like that wall by the load station was really cool. How they like the track goes up on its side over it, and they use tires, which is a thing that is used on roller coasters. To speed up their coaster, not. I don't know how they're used always in roller coasters, but it looked really cool how it all came together.
Mark, did you have any doubt when you saw that they hadn't won the week? I just, when I saw the finished product before even seeing the other three, I just was like, they won. Like, it's over.
Okay, so from what I saw, I felt like the only other team that really had a strong chance was Nina and Sam. But also, in my personal opinion, their track layout was completely boring.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if we're judging like track layout and like interest in that regard, I think number one is Christopher and Robert, and then Paul and Nalita, and then Emily and Kelly, and then Nina and Sam.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Whoa. You think Nina and Sam's was simpler or easier than Emily and Kelly?
Yes. I mean,
Okay.
they had basically just a giant lift hill, and then a loop, and then like a couple of back arounds.
I mean, you just named a bunch of things that Emily and Kelly didn't have.
They okay, fine. I mean, I have strong pro opinions about Emily and Kelly's build.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
let's talk about it. I mean, we're getting to the end here. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
want let's compare them all. I mean,
Okay.
we
Yeah.
can go briefly over, you know, everybody's circuits are completed, which is, you know, the most nerve-wracking part of the judgment, you know, when they are showing their builds off. I was literally biting my nails at like all four of them because you just the way that they set up the story, any of them could have not worked based on just how tricky this was. And so very, very relieved by all four of them working at the very least.
Yes. So, okay, let's dive right into the Emily and Kelly of it all. I mean,
Yeah.
like obviously they lost. We'll go into everyone else's build, of course. I think Emily and Kelly's theming is so unbelievably incredible. It's like Disney level shit. I think like the spider is really cool. I think the story is interesting. A thing that really warmed my heart and kind of made me almost cry was that they put their minifigs inside the cart, like to ride around, and I thought that was like really sweet and really endearing. I thought like they built an extraordinary kiddie friendly coaster. Now, okay, it doesn't have the dips and everything, but also keep in mind, Jamie and Amy said that the theming does matter a lot in this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it did. I just think that it was secondary. It matters, but it wasn't the most important thing to them, you know, as far as the level of I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
I'm not a roller coaster architect. I don't know exactly everything that goes into building them, but like it just felt to me that the other three were a tier above in their abilities. And yes, Nina and Sam, Christopher and Roberts, they were clearly like the best two. So it came down to between Paul and Nalita, who didn't have the theming, or, you know, Kelly and Emily, who had the theming but didn't quite have the technical skills. And I felt like they went with the tiebreaker, which was the degree of difficulty. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like I totally understood that, but when they were judging it, I was like, honestly, 50-50 could go either way. Like, I did not know which one of them was going to get eliminated, but
I mean, I agree. I think that like when it gets to semifinals, so it has to be judged on everything that you've had from the whole season in a show like this. And like the growth that Paul and Nalita have had has been astounding. Like Paul's always been a great builder. I feel like Nalita's always been a really good number two. But she's also like been doing a lot more recently than like I feel like we've been getting from her all season.
Interesting. Yeah. No, they definitely, as we discussed, they've mastered getting to the finale by just not being the worst team. They knew their limits. They knew how to execute well. They never put themselves in a position where they were gonna maybe fail. It wasn't gonna work. Like, you know, they knew what they could do, what they could pull off, and they did it. And so now they got to the final four, and that's what I was saying about putting that extra loop in. This was the one time in the show where I really felt like they like went for it. They went for something that was stretching beyond what they were comfortable with, what they knew they could do, but thought they could do. And I thought it was a game-changing moment for them. And I was so impressed that they were willing to have the courage to go there, and also the awareness of the competition level to know that they needed to do something like that to push them beyond their comfort zone. And I feel like that also put Kelly and Emily in a sticky situation where they didn't go beyond their comfort zone. Their comfort zone has been theming, color, storytelling, but they didn't push themselves in anything kind of too dangerous when it came to the roller coaster build. So I mean,
I don't disagree with anything you're saying. Like like I really do think the right team did get eliminated today. And I mean, I think Paul and Nalita are actually very much a dark horse to potentially win. If they go big, they could. We don't know. I mean, like we haven't seen the finale. We don't know. Like we really don't know. But I actually didn't hate their theming. I thought their theming was a little bit bland. Because they stuck with like very much neutral colors. Like they had the Jenga part looked really amazing.
Yeah. I just think there wasn't very much of it, and it wasn't like a super cohesive
Yeah,
or as the judges said, easily identifiable theme. Like that, it didn't like when you looked at it immediately, you didn't quite get the picture in your head right away, and
yeah.
so that's what I think it wasn't the best at, but it was probably just really just a function of time and how long it took for them to really get the roller coaster part, nailed down.
But the fact that they were able to get two dueling coasters at the same time, it's weird because in my brain's like obviously Kristen and Robert have the most technically challenging build. But theirs is not that far behind.
Yeah, it was very impressive. I mean, very, very impressive. And just I just think it was like such a good call for them to go
Yeah.
big here.
So Nina and Sam, they did the Kraken, which is, in my personal opinion, wasn't the most complicated build. I think the theming was really, really cool. Like
Yeah.
really cool. Like how like the story with the tentacle like about to pull you down. And like the actual monster itself looked very amazing. Like if you haven't watched this episode yet and you're watching us or listening to us, watch the episode. Seriously. But like it's cool how they like then Modu's making the water move and such.
That was next level. That was just one of those things that was just like a professional touch onto something that was already good to make it great.
Yeah.
And so the water like was so cool because the tentacles and the Kraken, like only a portion of it was above the surface, right? And actually
Yeah.
built with Lego. So when you add a little bit of motion like that to the storytelling, all of a sudden your brain already fills in the details that underneath the surface, that Kraken has a lot more tentacles that are moving along. And so it's like a great shortcut, to just tell a story of what's happening, even if you don't have to actually build it with bricks. So I
Yeah.
love that. One of my favorite little touches anybody's put on any build so far in the show's history.
Yeah. No, actually, like I said, like I wasn't as in love with this build because the fact that I felt very flat after the initial drop. Because it's like tall, 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 big drop, loop, and then just go back and forth a couple times and it's out. But I
Yeah.
did like the way that they utilized the Kraken inside their story of the Kraken.
Yeah. No, it was really, really solid storytelling build. And I wonder if their story hadn't been as good, if that also would have made Kelly and Emily shine a little bit more as like the one really cohesive story. Because I
Yeah.
felt like it was only the Kraken or their Ladybug build that really were like the two clear, fun, awesome stories.
Yeah.
And so like I just wonder like subconsciously if they're like, okay, well, like they weren't the only ones with like a really incredible roller coaster story.
Yeah. I mean, like totally like Christopher Robert, as great as theirs was, there wasn't much theming. It was the head of a dragon above a cloud.
Yeah, no,
And
and
I
of
got,
course Christopher sold the hell out of
of
it when he
course.
pitched it because that's what he does. But yeah, no, it was slapped on for sure. But that still, the level of the build
Yeah.
elevated it above anything else for sure.
And so we get to our winner time. Of course, Christopher Robert win. Jamie eats his words more. He's like, "You guys did really good," and I'm really, really impressed. And then we get to who is going to be the next team to the finals. We found it to be Nina and Sam. No big shock here, considering the level that they've been playing most of the season. I think that they have personally had a little bit of a dip in the second half of the season, but I mean, that could have also just been story time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they got manipulated by Christopher, in that
Yeah,
moment with the rug. That was probably the low point of them having to give up the golden brick. But a low point in their gameplay, but high point in character for them of just like everybody rallying around them and having a fun moment. But yeah, they definitely came out super hot and were definitely the team to beat. But they still just put out some incredible stuff. Their thing is they are the roller coaster team. They really have the high highs and low lows because they always are ambitious. So they almost got out a couple of these weeks because they were almost not going to be able to pull off certain things, but yet like their ambition was always rewarded, I think, by their own skill and being able to back it up a lot of these weeks. And then also I think the judges understanding that they took some really cool swings. So I'm really excited to see what they could pull off in the finale because they are going to go big.
and like when you look at like the actual like breakdown of the episode so far, you see like the first 2 weeks Nina and Sam, then Poppy and Ben, then Nina and Sam, then Aubrey and Ryan, then Paul and Lolita, and then every week after that's Christopher and Robert. Like this is a pretty top tier finale.
Yeah, no, for sure. All three teams deserve to be there. They've been consistent in different ways, like across the season. And I just the thing that worries me about Paul and Melina, I just want them to. I'm not sure what's going to happen when they try to be ambitious. It's going to be the last build, they need to leave it all out there. And I don't know if they have the like highest highs of what they can build. As far as I think Emily and Kelly, I would
stuff is like it feels realistic.
Yeah. They're very self-aware, and I like it's very impressive. And they have done super well to just not be in the bottom two, not be the worst build of the week. Like they've done great at that. But I'm a little worried about what their home run capabilities are here in the finale. But Christopher and Robert, Nina and Sam, I'm not even worried about them. Like we're gonna get something spectacular from those two teams for sure.
I mean, and also like I wanted to shout out Emily and Kelly one more time because they were incredible. And like that was definitely one of the harder eliminations of the season. I feel like just because everyone seemed to like them and they were really good builders. And like honestly, like it's one of those seasons where it's like if you're that archetype and you can break the archetype, hell yeah. Like that's what's been happening all season long.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And definitely moms are people too. Okay. We all have to remember that. Moms have dreams, have hopes, have goals. They support their children's goals and all that. But if you have a mom out there, tell them you love them and go support their goals and dreams because they have a lot going on. I just got to hang out with my mom all day today here, and so maybe I'm a little sentimental.
It makes me happy. I like sentimental kettles. I also like so we get to the I love how I wanted to shout this out because I know we're getting ready to wrap up. But like that turn that Christopher does when they announce like the final three is like super villain. It's like
made me laugh so hard. He was so ready for that. It was so great. Yeah, he just gives and gives, and we just enjoy and enjoy.
So we get a little preview of what's happening in the finale, and clearly when they revealed to them that the prize is not just the money, but also the winning build people like you and I can buy and build it at home, which is so amazing.
I know.
And Josh, I have no idea what I was looking at while watching the preview for next week. There looked to be like a family tree happening. I saw the Coliseum. I saw a giant island. I saw Christopher hammering, I think it was. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what we're in store for. I'm very excited. I mean, depending on that price point, I'm very interested in buying this final piece. To put on my bookshelf or something here at the top of it. I don't know if it'll fit actually. Yeah, I don't know.
Those look so like that the family tree, I think, like looked like it was like 5 feet tall. I'm like, that's a lot of money.
What's this thing gonna retail for? I don't know, but I just know I'm very pumped. Like you said, this is a very like skilled finale episode, and like with the teams that are left, so like it's definitely one of the most competitive ones we've seen going into the finale. So I'm really pumped.
100%. Josh, anything you want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I mean, I'm loving the season. Definitely, Mark, we got to talk about the holiday special. So I'm in. Definitely. If you're in,
I'm bringing my laptop with me to Minneapolis. I'll be there for like 10 days with my fiance and her family.
Okay, great. Well, other than that, besides talking about the holiday special, catch me at futurepastsurvivor.com talking about Survivor this season. Very fun. Then, also catch me on Silent Podcast talking about anything and everything. So just if you're not subscribed to Silent Podcasts on, YouTube or anywhere else that you get your audio podcast, make sure you do that. Mark and I are talking about a bunch of fun things, including I know Mark is talking about Squid Games, the challenge, which is very fun. So is that all you're talking about right now, Mark? Or you got anything else going on?
Boy, that's the only thing I'm consistently talking about. I feel like, but I am on this week's episode of oh my god, I forgot the name. I just did it an hour ago.
What show?
I'm on the next episode of I'm Pleased to Tell You with Sabrina. We just recorded that. It's fantastic. And I will be talking with the next people eliminated from Amazing Race and the rest of the top 3. After that, it's been an incredible season. If you're not watching Amazing Race, watch it. It's back to its prime, although it's 35 seasons in, which is a really impressive thing. That doesn't always happen. Yes, I'm talking with Sarah Carradine the one and only Sarah Carradine of Aussie Queens, and RJP about Squid Game The Challenge. We will be having another live episode tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for episodes 7 and 8. And then we wrap it all up Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time with episodes 9 and 10, the finale. I am so excited to find out who wins the show. It's been a freaking ride. You can follow me on at MarkLevy85 on Instagram, Twitter, and on TikTok now at Movie Mark reviewing movies.
Awesome. Mark, thank you so much for always talking brick with me. Excited to get into it one more time for the finale.
Yeah, let's get a brick on and see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.